Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Okay, welcome to Talking Politics. My name is Robert Press. I am a reporter, as you can see by my official New York City press card. I write for the Bronx Post, which you just saw the commercial for, and the Parkchester Times. Both, like this show, are part of Parrot Media Corporation. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and have a blog at www.100%.blogspot.com, along with Facebook pages 100% and What is Going On in Your Community Board. And there is a lot going on in Community Board 11, as News 12 has reported. Well, let me go back to my original. The views expressed on this show are that of the host, any guest, or anyone who is commenting at the bottom of the screen, and not necessarily those of Parrot Media Corporation. Now, as for the weather report, we are in for rain and more rain over the weekend. Today, Friday, the temperature will get up to 39 degrees, with rain coming tonight, lasting through Saturday, where the high will be 44. Sunday, the high gets up to 57. Yeah, that's it, 57 coming into the new year, with continuing rain at times. And Monday, the high gets up to 56. And rain will continue through New Year's Eve, which should be about 50 degrees on New Year's Eve, bringing a total of 2 to 4 inches of rain ending 2024, which should restock our reservoirs to their normal levels. Let's get into world news first. It appears that South Korea's opposition-controlled National Assembly voted Friday to impeach acting President Han Duck-seo, despite vehement protests by governing party leaders, further deepening the country's political crisis set off by President Yoon Suk-yeol's stunning imposition of martial law and ensuing impeachment. Han's impeachment means that he will be stripped of the powers and the duties of the president under the constitutional code that decides whether to dismiss or reinstate him. The court is already reviewing whether to uphold Yoon's early impeachment. This impeachment of the country's top two officials has worsened its political turmoil, deepened economic uncertainties, and hurt its international image. Now, here in Russia, Russia has stepped up its drone attacks on the Ukraine. It is deploying a devastating new tactic in the war with Ukraine, according to the intelligence of the Ukrainian ministry. Thousands of drones are being used to attack targets across the country, the Ministry of Defense for the Ukraine said in its latest update on the conflict. Approximately 2,300 drones, known as one-way attack uncrewed aerial systems, were launched by Russia in November alone, an increase on the previous month's figure. Monthly drone numbers have been increasing constantly through 2024, with significant increases greater than 200 on the previous month since July of 2024, the Ministry of Defense for the Ukraine said. Many of these drones are decoys to complicate the Ukrainian defense effort through saturating or confusing radar pictures and tire out Kyiv's aerial defense system. However, the decoy drones still carry up to 5 kilograms of explosives, so are no less dangerous when they reach a target, the update said. Around 850 drones were launched in December so far. That was as of last week. But Russia is able to send around 1,500 a month into the Ukrainian airspace. According to the Ministry of Defense, this tactic allows Russia to maintain pressure on Ukraine while it replenishes its stock of long-range missiles. The Ministry of Defense revealed at a weekend meeting that Ukraine has lost about half of the Russian territory it seized over the summer. That is in thanks to the part of recruitment of thousands of North Korean troops to help the Russian war effort. So what is going on here in the United States? President Biden has signed 50 bills into law on Christmas Eve as the year and his time in office draws to a close. The bills President Biden has signed include Paris Hilton's bill to protect teenagers living in residential treatment facilities, a bill setting anti-hazing standards on college campuses, and a bill preventing members of Congress from collecting pensions if they are convicted of certain crimes. The president signed Bill S-932, which prohibits members of Congress convicted of crimes related to public corruption from receiving their retirement benefits. A previous law allowed the members to continue to receive their pension checks only after the exhaustion of all appeals. The new bipartisan law comes after Senator Bob Melendez of New Jersey was found guilty this year of using political influence to benefit businessmen and foreign governments in return for bribes. Another new law, S-4610, makes the bald eagle the official bird of the United States. The federal government had never designated an official bird, and Biden has gotten the bird. But Biden has voted for the bald eagle to be the bird of the United States. He also vetoed a bill on Monday that would have created 66 new federal judgeships, saying the House has rushed it through without resolving important issues on how it would be implemented. President Biden also committed the death sentences of 37 of 40 prisoners on death row, opting moral and policy objections to capital punishment. A move that prevents incoming President-elect Donald Trump from executing these prisoners, of which it said that one had killed a woman, raped her daughter, and strangled the daughter. Now, that's a man, let's take him off the death row. I'm surprised that President Biden didn't pardon him. Speaking of vigils, religious leaders and community members came together for a vigil last night, honoring the woman who was burned to death at the Coney Island Stillwell Avenue station on Sunday. Her life mattered, and we believe that we can do something and that anyone can participate, and that it is the power of the prayer, Reverend Kevin McCall, founder of the Crisis Action Center, said. The name of the woman still has not been released. Sebastian Zapata, who has been charged with 2 counts of murder and one charge of arson after being taken into custody on Sunday. The woman was set on fire on board a stationary F train at 7:30 a.m. Officials say surveillance cameras in the subway helped in the investigation. Thank God they caught the person who did this, but it's not the person's fault. It's the system's fault, McCall said. Yes, he also pardoned Hunter Burden, AJ, the president. Police say the officers at the station Sunday were on the level above the train and unable to reach the woman in time. Evangeline Byers, an MTA train operator, says more attention is needed on the subway. We know what the solutions are. They tried to reinstitute the transit police to make sure all future classes are dedicated to the subways, Byers said. Police couldn't confirm whether the victim and or Byers or Zapata were homeless, but did say that it appears they did not know each other. Federal immigration officials say Zapata is from Guatemala, was deported in 2018 before illegally re-entering the United States. He is due in court on Friday. Now, other incidents this past week on the subways include a man who was sleeping on a Manhattan-bound 7 train at 12:30 a.m., who stabbed 2 thieves who tried to take his bags that day, killing one of them. Sources familiar with the incident say the alleged stabber, a 69-year-old man, was dozing on the train, surrounded by his bags, when a group of 5 men approached him. The group started taking the man's bag, it said, as the train approached 61st Street and the Woodside Avenue station in Woodside. That's when the man woke up and tried to get his bags back. This led to a struggle. The man pulled out a knife and stabbed 2 members of the group. A 32-year-old man was stabbed in the chest and another man was slashed in his face. The entire scene was caught on subway surveillance cameras, according to MTA sources. Medics took both men who were stabbed to Elmhurst Hospital, but the man who was stabbed in the chest couldn't be saved, police said. Cops took the stabber into custody, though prosecutors will have to determine what charges he'll face or if he was acting in self-defense. On Tuesday, Christmas Eve, a man and a woman were slashed in separate incidents in Grand Central Station, 42nd Street subway station. A 42-year-old man was slashed across the left wrist, and around 10:15, police said a woman was slashed in the neck by the same person who was arrested by police, who recovered a knife also. So much for killings. Now, the chief of the police, Jeffrey Maddrey, apparently stepped down soon after the New York Post contacted the NYPD about Lieutenant Kwishisha Epps and claims in an exclusive interview that he routinely preyed upon her, asking for sex in the NYPD headquarters. Maddrey was replaced on an interim basis by Chief of Patrol John Schell, the NYPD said. Epps recently made headlines in the NYPD's top earners list, pulling in a whopping $400,000 a year, including roughly $204,000 in overtime alone last year for her administrative job in Maddrey's office, payroll record show. Epps and her lawyer, Eric Sanders, say they plan to file a notice of claim with the city controller's office Saturday, outlining the scandalous accusations. Epps, 51, works for Maddrey as he moved up in the NYPD from chief of housing to chief of patrol, but said the sexual demands didn't start until June 2023, when he landed the job as chief of department, the city's top uniformed cop. Maddrey was allegedly sitting in his desk when he first propositioned her, the unmarried mother of 3. Then he asked her to go into the back room in his office, where he had a couch and a bathroom, she said. She claims the two had sexual intercourse about 10 times after that. When she started to try to get away from Maddrey recently, Epps said she was ousted on a list of high overtime earners in retaliation, Sanders said. Epps was suspended for 30 days and is being investigated over the excessive overtime, police sources said. Maddrey has denied Epps charges. What a convenient time to accuse somebody of misconduct after she's caught stealing time, said Maddrey's attorney, Lambros Lambrou. She's obviously drowning and in the deep end of the pool without a lifesaver. She wants to take down as many people as she can. This is completely meritless, and we deny every aspect of it. Epps is now demanding that she be reinstated, claiming she deserves special consideration given the sexual abuse she allegedly endured from the former New York City police chief of department. And before I go to the commercial, I will say that Jessica Tisch, the new New York City Police Department commissioner, is cracking down on apparent overtime abuse as the agency faces internal and external investigations into the matter. At least 29 officers have been moved into new jobs. 16 earned more than $100,000 in overtime the last fiscal year. The moves come as investigators are scrutinizing accusations that Jeffrey Maddrey, the department's former highest-ranking officer, as I said, demanded sex from a subordinate in exchange for overtime. There are 2 officers who work for Mr. Maddrey, collectively made $312,769 in overtime alone. 2 other officers together made around $289,000 in overtime, who were transferred out of the Operations Bureau led by Kaz Daughtry. 11 officers were moved out of the department's Public Information Office, and the head of that office, Tariq Shepard, has also been replaced. Federal investigators have joined the City Department of Investigation inquiry into the previous into provisions of overtime and the allegations of misconduct against Madry, who resigned on Friday. The Manhattan DA's office is also investigating, and Madry's lawyer did not respond to requests for comment. Commissioner Tisch announced that Miguel Inglases, department's chief of internal affairs, has been relieved of his command and has been replaced by Chief Edward Thompson. Chief Inglases was responsible for investigating police misconduct. Above all else, NYPD Internal Affairs Bureau must be dedicated to preserving integrity and rooting out corruption in all forms, Tisch said in a statement announcing Chief Thompson's appointment. And let me stop here, go to a commercial, and it seems that there is more overtime in other departments, and we'll come back with that in a moment. So let me go to a commercial now.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platforms with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the websites they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our new site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Okay, as I said, Mayor Adams wants to rein in the excessive overtime in the police department, the fire department, and two other departments in the wake of the alleged sex for overtime scandal that has rocked the police force. The mayor, in a Monday directive, laid out a set of new rules aimed at cracking down on sky-high overtime in the police and fire departments, as well as Department of Correction and Department of Sanitation. As he announced, City Hall will oversee compliance. Adam wrote in a memo that the four departments represent disproportionate share of overtime spending, and it is their ongoing responsibility of management of each agency to ensure that the overtime is used responsibly and in accordance with the city guidelines. 3 City Hall offices, along with the Office of Management and Budget, are tasked with working with targeted departments to slash the spending. The oversight offices shall work with the agencies to develop and thereafter monitor detailed overtime reduction plans, including targets for year-over-year overtime reductions for each fiscal year, Adams wrote. The Office of Chief of Staff, along with the Budget Office, is specifically providing oversight to the NYPD, which has been under fire again from Mattery. And the mayor wants each department to submit monthly reports and have monthly meetings with their assigned oversight officers. A remediation plan might be needed to be submitted to if a department is not slashing overtime enough, Adams said. He also wrote that the commissioner of each agency must personally review the top overtime earners in their department at least once every 3 months to ensure overtime is being distributed equitably and avoid potential abuse. Now, controlling the overtime, the use of overtime, including paid compensation time, shall be directly responsibility of each agency's commissioners. Adams noted that each agency can still dole out overtime to its workers to meet emergency service demands, as the police department is well understaffed, as we all know, and there are certain precincts that have officers working 12-hour shifts. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch has spent much of her first month on the job dealing with cleaning house with the department, including high-profile personnel moves. Now, one question I have, okay, who is watching this? Where is our city controller, Brad Lander, the past 3 years? Isn't he supposed to be watching the city money and the spending of it? Why has Controller Brad Lander not said anything about this? And he has done a poor job of watching the overtime rolls. And now Brad Lander, who is the city controller, who is not watching the money, wants to be the mayor. And I'll just leave it at that. No, I'm not against Brad Lander, but I'm just saying, where has he been for the past 3 years? An audit released Thursday by the state controller's office says that the operators in New York City's largest transportation agency, or New York State's largest transportation agency, the MTA, has not done enough to save money. The lack of money savings is centered around procurement, said State Controller Thomas DiNapoli. According to DiNapoli, the MTA has not done enough to consolidate its procurements across its agencies to save money as expected under its transformation plan. The MTA was required to create a transformation plan by June 30, 2019, which it did. One part was to consolidate procurement for its 5 operating agencies, the MTA Construction and Development, MTA Headquarters, to save money to avoid redundancies, DiNapoli explained. But those actions were not enough, and now the state controller believes the MTA needs to take additional steps to better coordinate its purchasing efforts. More savings may be possible as it does more to coordinate purchasing among agencies instead of its status quo of having them procure their independently needs. Consolidation, efficiency, and savings in this area were promised years ago, but has yet to be fully realized. The audit follows another blow to the MTA this week when Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins and Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie rejected the state agency's plans for its 2025 to 2029 capital budget just days before January 1st. Delving deeper into Thursday's audit, the MTA's actual practice of buying goods and services has not changed after its October 2021 effective date of consolidation. The audit cites several examples of this lack of progress, mostly with procurement operations, which handles direct purchase of things like parts for trains and buses. According to the controller's office, the MTA reported saving $152 million in 2022, but the audit examined $37.7 million of that total and concluded none of it was due to transformation or consolidation. The audit revealed that the savings were from canceled orders and from services no longer needed. According to the audit, just 4.29% of the sample savings were the result of procurement operations. The MTA successfully consolidated and reorganized the agency per the transformation program, forging ahead with less redundancy and red tape, MTA spokesperson Jonah Flores said. But with the capital plan in limbo, public transit units do not know what to expect regarding the future of MTA projects, including funding uncertainties, which the MTA capital plan has been put into a political football. Lisa Daglin, executive director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, said riders deserve a well-funded, fully funded capital plan so the MTA can begin state-of-the-art good repairs and system improvements that are desperately needed. Now, why did the two state leaders reject? They say the leaders cited revenue concerns about $33 billion of the $65 billion plan that does not have an identified funding stream yet, leaving a big question as to where the money would come from. Closing the MTA's proposed 25-29 capital plan, the deficit may require or will require state legislative action or identifying additional non-state revenue sources, and can be solved during the upcoming legislative session in the context of the state budget negotiation. Although Governor Hochul announced her support for the MTA capital plan in November and a commitment to see it fully funded, she has offered few, if any, details of her specific proposals for revenue streams. The funding question would get answered in the next legislative session. Some possible answers from Hochul are expected in her executive budget, which she is set to deliver January 14th. As far as the $9 toll for Midtown, the congestion pricing could soar another 25% to $11.25 on 20 gridlock alert days, which is starting next year, a fact listed in a footnote that on the revised congestion pricing plan filed with the state rulemaking. But Thursday, Governor Hochul said under no circumstances would she allow the extra charge on gridlock days to be used. That is yet to be seen, as is the as is congestion pricing. Now, the Broadway of the Bronx is a drug-ridden wasteland where hordes of zonked-out zombies openly buy dope, shoot up, overdose in broad daylight, despite city officials' years-old pledge to end the careless squander. The New York Post spent several days in the hub, the commercial area between Melrose and Mount Haven that encompasses Roberto Clemente Plaza, and found scenes of drug-fueled depravity and ever-present unwanted haze of crack smoke. 2 addicts were seen suffering apparent overdoses, and dozens more nodded off involuntarily, contorting their bodies into the telltale phenytoin fold. One potential overdose victim lay face down on a sidewalk for 10 minutes until a fellow addict gave him a dose of life-saving Narcan. A few feet away, a haggard man nonchalantly injected a syringe into a woman's neck. These streets are full of zombies, said Emilio Morales, general manager of the landmark Opera Hotel, a 3-star inn on East 149th Street. It has never been as bad as it is now. Morales' concerns aren't new. He and other local business leaders in 2021 sent a letter to then Mayor Bill de Blasio pleading for action on the drug-dealing, homelessness, and crime-consuming the hub, and they're still waiting, they say. Efforts by City Hall and New York City Police Department to clamp down on the open-air drug market has been unsuccessful and frustrated local elected officials. Then Mayor Bill de Blasio promised to conduct walkthroughs and dedicated $8 million to fight the opioid epidemic in the Bronx. But even as City Hall driven efforts, including an October to November targeted enforcement sweep, cleaned up thousands of syringes, handed out overdose reversal kits, and led to dozen arrests, the dismal conditions keep coming back. The hub remains at the front lines of New York City's opioid crisis, with nearly 139 overdose deaths per 100,000 residents in the surrounding neighborhood, more than 3 times the city rate in 2023, according to Health Department totals. The mayor has commissioned a charter revision meeting, which will meet on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, 12 p.m. The meeting will be held at the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission hearing, room 33, Beaver Street, 19th floor in New York City. The commission is empowered to consider revisions to the New York City Charter for presentation to the voters at the November 4th, 2025 general election, or at another designated election date pursuant to the law. The meeting is open to the public because this is a public meeting and not a public hearing. The public will have only the opportunity to observe the commission's decisions, but not testify before it. They're live streamed on the commission's website, www.nyc.gov/charter, and the location is accessible to individuals with wheelchairs and other mobility devices. Before I go, I want to just say that the New York City unemployment numbers, the unemployment numbers for 2024, and this will be my last item, or I should say it won't be my last item because there's one more I want to say before this. For the United States, the unemployment was 3.5% in November 2023. In November 2024, it is 4%, a rise of 0.5%. New York State, November 2023 and 24 had a rate of 4.2%, no change. New York City, November 2023 was 4.9%. In November 2024, the unemployment rate is 5.5 in the city, a 0.6% by jump by borough. The Bronx in November of 2023 was 6.3%. In November of 2024, it is 7.1%, a jump of 0.8. Brooklyn at 5.3 in 23 is at 5.8 in November of 24, half a point percentage rate. Manhattan also showed an increase from 4.4% last year to 4.8%, a 0.4 increase. Queens had a increase of 0.5% from 4.3 in November of 23 to 4.8% in November of 24. Staten Island had showed a 0.6 increase. November 23 was 4.3%, and in November 24, a 4.9%. So unemployment is stable in New York State, but rising in New York City. And I will tell you that New York City's Campaign Finance Board has warned Mayor Eric Adams he may have to return some of the $10 million in public matching funds he received in his 21 campaign. And the last item before I go is New York City Mayor Adams will deliver his 2025 State of the City address at Harlem's historic Apollo Theater on Thursday, on January 9th, a pivotal speech that will likely kick off his bid for re-election next year. And the Mega Millions jackpot tonight is $1.15 billion, making it the fifth largest prize in games history. The drawing is tonight at 11 p.m. I will be going out right after the show to buy my Mega Million ticket. So goodbye until next week. Or if I win the Mega Millions, you may not see me. But thank you for watching. And most likely you will be seeing me next week here on Talking Politics because the odds are so great. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.